We're going to call this meeting to order of the Sacramento City Council and Sacramento Housing Redevelopment Agency Housing Authority at 2:01 p.m. If the clerk could please call the roll to establish a quorum.
Thank you. Councilmember Kaplan. Here. Councilmember Talamontes. Here. Councilmember Valenzuela. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Vang. Here. Councilmember Jennings.
Here.
Councilmember Maple. Here. Vice Mayor Guerra.
Here.
For the record, Councilmember Laloy will be absent. We expect the mayor momentarily.
The mayor will join us here shortly. I'm going to ask Councilmember Jennings if you would join us or do the land acknowledgement and salute.
Will do so, sir. Please rise for the opening acknowledgments in honor of Sacramento's indigenous people and tribal lands. To the original people of this land, the Nisseon people, the Southern Maidu Valley and Plains Miwok, Patwin Winton peoples, and the people of the Wilton Rancheria, Sacramento's only federally recognized tribe. May we acknowledge and honor the Native people who came before us and still walk beside us today on these ancestral lands by choosing to gather together today in the active practice of acknowledgement and appreciation for Sacramento's indigenous people's history, contribution, and lives. Please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you, Vice Mayor, for gaveling the meeting to order. Good afternoon to everyone. We are meeting as the Housing Authority, and of course, I always explain, because I think it's important, that the Housing Authority is the City Council. And there are times when we're focused on housing issues, specifically involving the Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency, that we meet specifically as a Housing Authority, and we are doing so today. So we have 3 items on a discussion calendar. And why don't we begin with item 1?
Good afternoon, Housing Authority Board. My name is Mark Hamilton, and I currently serve as the Director of the Rental Assistance Demonstration Program for SHRA. I'd like to provide a brief background in regards to the asset being affected by the request being made today. Riverview Plaza is a mixed-use development located at 600 I Street in downtown Sacramento and was developed originally as a tax credit project in 1989. The residential portion of the building, floors 3 through 14, consists of 123 one-bedroom units and 1 two-bedroom manager unit. In addition to the residential portion outlined above, this development also includes a courtyard, outdoor terraces, swimming pool, fitness room, library, commercial kitchen, among other amenities that are currently being offered to the residents of the development. This development also contains 2 office retail tenants. The residential portion is owned by Riverview Plaza Associates, a California limited partnership which is composed of an investor limited partner, which is the Housing Authority of the City of Sacramento, and a nonprofit general partner, the Sacramento Housing Development Corporation, or SHDC, of which the County Board of Supervisors sits as the board. Today, Housing Authority is seeking the adoption of a resolution to do 3 things related to the Riverview Plaza property. 1, to negotiate, execute, and enter into the amendment to the first amended and restated limited partnership agreement of Riverview Plaza Associates. 2, to utilize the authority within the previously stated document to allow for a distribution of 600 I Street from the partnership to the limited partner, the Housing Authority of the City of Sacramento, and cash in the amount of $1 to the general partner, SHDC. And then 3, for the executive director to execute a quitclaim deed for the transfer of the property located at 600 I Street, Sacramento, California, to the Housing Authority of the City of Sacramento. These 3 items will allow for the property in question to be packaged with 2 other Housing Authority of the City of Sacramento public housing properties at 2516 H Street and 917 38th Street as part of the latest RAD transaction and to continue the mission of rehabilitating affordable housing as set forth in the Housing Authority's asset repositioning plan. We will be back at a later date with the recommendation to dissolve Riverview Plaza Associates. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Do we have public testimony?
I have no hands raised in Zoom to make public comment on this item.
Councilmember Valenzuela, your district.
Yes, thank you for that presentation. All the folks who live in this building have our phone number, and so we hear from them often, as you do from senior housing residents, about the condition of this building. So really excited to see this step being taken today, and would love to, as the public hearing item, Madam Director, just, oh, no? All right, then I'd just love to move this item for approval and thank the staff for your work on it. There will be some very excited residents, I know, for these improvements to come to this building, so thank you.
Very good. If there's no one else, let's say all in favor. Please say aye. Aye. Oppose, abstain. That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Item 2, this is a discussion on the housing element annual progress report. This one, they're all important. This one, really important.
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon, Housing Authority Mayor and Council. My name is Greta Seuss, and I am an Associate Planner in Long Range Planning, and I'll be presenting our 2022 Housing Element Annual Progress Report. Each year, the city is required to submit a Housing Element Annual Progress Report to the state that provides status updates on the city's adopted implementation programs and a report out on the housing production numbers for the calendar year. The city is required to report on housing production at all stages, including planning applications, planning entitlements, issued building permits, and certificates of occupancy. But for the purposes of making progress towards our Regional Housing Needs Assessment, or RHNA, the annual progress report only counts issued building permits. The 2021-29 housing element planning period housing target is 45,580 housing units, which is broken down by income level from extremely and very low income households to above moderate income housing. This housing target is assigned to the city by the state and is known as our Regional Housing Needs Allocation, or RHNA. When we break down that housing target over the 8-year period, we must produce around 5,700 units annually across all income levels. That's the dotted line on this graph here. And in 2022, we produced a total of 2,246 housing units. This graph shows our 2022 housing production numbers by income level in comparison to the projected need averaged over the 8-year period. This figure has one error in the staff report, and that is that the very low income unit count should be 396 rather than 426, correcting the total to 2,246. In 2022, the city produced 1,267 units of low and very low income units, including non-deed restricted units. This is 56% of the total units produced in 2022. And as shown in this graph, figure 2, the city was close to meeting annual target production levels for very low, low, and moderate income housing in 2022. This chart shows the units produced by income level and includes a breakdown of the deed-restricted and non-deed restricted units. Notable deed-restricted affordable housing projects that counted towards the 2022 calendar year numbers include Marisol Village, Vista Nueva, Northview Point, Riverview Plaza, Wong Center, and 4995 Stockton Boulevard. While deed-restricted unit production is critical to ensure long-term affordability in our housing community, we know we cannot meet our lower income RHNA with the deed-restricted units alone, given current funding availability. To meet our lower income housing need through only regulated affordable housing, we would need to secure about $7.5 billion over the next 8 years, with the City of Sacramento's portion being around $2 billion. So in order for us to meet this tremendous need for lower cost housing, We must build more regulated affordable housing, but we also must build more lower cost housing options that do not require subsidy, such as multi-unit housing, accessory dwelling units, and so on. This graph shows our ADU production since 2013. The 2022 calendar year showed a 32% increase in ADU permits over 2021. This shows that we've produced almost 400 ADUs in the planning period and are well on our way to surpass our target of 600 within the planning period. We expect these numbers to continue to increase with the many new resources launched in late 2022, including an online ADU resource center with free permit-ready ADU plans. So how does Sacramento's housing production compare to other jurisdictions? To compare our city's production with other local jurisdictions, we calculated the number of total housing units produced between 2019 and 2021 per 1,000 residents. While Sacramento produced far more total units than the other listed jurisdictions here, the city's large population shrinks our total production per 1,000 persons. However, when we use this method while only looking at lower income units produced, Sacramento produced the highest number of lower income units per 1,000 persons between 2019 and 21. Looking at non-local comparisons with jurisdictions ranging in populations from 430,000 to 1.4 million, Sacramento produced the most housing units per 1,000 persons in this time frame. The same is also true when we look at production of lower income units per 1,000 persons with these non-local comparisons. Moving on to implementation program updates. The city has completed 5 programs to date of our 49 adopted implementation programs, including the development of a housing element web-based land inventory, achieving the state's pro-housing designation, and releasing an online ADU resource center with free permit-ready plans. We've also made significant progress on a number of programs, including the new review of the city's mixed income housing ordinance, development of an online housing development toolkit, specific plan development, infrastructure studies, and more. Key programs that we will be focusing on in 2023 include the review of the mixed income housing ordinance, revisions to parking requirements, updating our planning and development code requirements for special needs housing, and updating our density bonus code for consistency with state law. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Wow, so much to digest, actually. I think it's worth a discussion. Thank you. Do we have public comment, public testimony?
No, Mayor, I have no hands raised to make public comment on this item.
So, Councilmember Kaplan, why don't we begin with you?
Thank you, Mayor. Happy to kick it off, because I know when we look at, so first, thank you, staff. Thank you for the comprehensive report, and thank you for adding in some information that I know that my staff had kind of been asking about. So your knowledge and ability to accommodate us when we ask those questions, thank you. Because I think when we look at what are the issues we're addressing in Sacramento, it's housing, the need for housing, more housing. I know Natoma specifically got the short end of it during the flood moratorium. And I spent some time looking a little bit at what we as a city had done in the past. And I am really happy to see how we've prioritized low income housing and low to medium, because in 2015, 16, and 17, none was built in the city. And for low income, I think less than 100 units. So, Mayor, that's a testament, because you came in shortly thereafter to kickstart it, and seeing where we as a city needed to go to address the needs of most of us. But I think the moratorium set us a little back on what we needed to do, but it also highlights the need of how do we address a lot of our unhoused? How do we address our families who can't find some place affordable to live. The need for, what was it, almost $2 billion for matching funds for some of our affordable complexes we need to build. So, and then even just looking at, I know there was a plan at a prior mayor looking at building 10,000 units downtown, where over an 8-year period, we were only really able to get 4,000 units. So a couple of the questions that I have is, have we seen, when we're talking about like Priority H2, our housing development toolkit, have we seen any success or progress through the housing development toolkit in connecting property owners to resources and completing the redevelopment of housing on underutilized sites?
So we released the Housing Development Toolkit in September of 2022, so pretty recently, and we've received some good feedback on the website so far, but I'm not sure the degree to which it's affected specific projects. However, we are going to be mailing postcards to all vacant lot owners in the city and conducting targeted outreach to specific property owners in the coming months.
Perfect, thank you, because I know the timing's been short, but was curious if we as a city have received any feedback, because we know how long it takes to plan anything. And then I noticed there was a 33% decrease in overall housing production from 2021 to 2022. What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, it is likely due to interest rates, inflation, increased labor, materials costs, and the higher interest rates are making it very difficult to make a lot of projects pencil, and particularly for sale products. Homeowners are not as, the demand is not as high and the costs are higher. And, we've also seen a nationwide decrease in housing production over the past year. So I think it's multiple trends contributing to this, but those are just our observations.
Is there anything that you as staff see that we as a city could potentially help in helping some of our developers continue to move and increase production? Besides what you're already doing, but is there anything that we at council should be aware of that we could potentially look at differently or do better?
I think that we have been doing a lot of what we can do, which is really streamlining the development process, prioritizing affordable projects in the plan check, really developing all the resources that we can. Obviously funding is a huge piece of our affordable housing production, which I think is well-known fact, but I think a lot of the market rate production is really just at the will of the markets a lot of the time. So I think we're trying to do everything we can, and we'll continue to look for ways to streamline and support housing development.
Well, and I love one of the items and look forward to seeing to make it happen as we look at our movable tiny homes as ADUs. We know that's a trend, and I think staff highlighting that as a direction of what we're looking for Sacramento. Not only have what we've done with ADUs to make, pre-designs available, but having tiny homes be something to look at, that it is a permissible use as an ADU. So, I just want to thank you for all that you've done. You've given us a lot of information, although it is, there's only so much we, as you said, Greta, as a city could do. It is a little disheartening knowing how much more production of all types of housing that we need, that we're still falling significantly behind. But I want to credit the council before us, and the mayor with turning it around of creating, low to very low affordable housing there out on the market, because that was needed, and I think that put us behind when we did several years of not producing that. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Kaplan. Vice Mayor Guerra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep it short here to say thank you to the staff for a lot of great work. It has been a number of years for us slowly adding and chipping away at every potential aspect, and I think I think it's on page 4 of the staff report, but the slide that you showed about the diversity of housing, where we are today and what's being produced was important, because I think that was the biggest challenge we had before, where you would have a lot of well above moderate income housing being built, and then just a small number of very low de-restricted. But I think what we see now is we see a diversity. Yes, we need more affordable housing, but if we don't have a diversity of products for people to begin their asset building, you know, we can't expect everyone to just go and buy and purchase a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom, 3-car garage. Like, that's just unsustainable. And so I think our policies that have pushed us here are important. And it's all to say, I think recognition to the great work that our staff has done to get us here, to create that environment, shows that we're above other cities when it comes to it. I think those slides, you know, you said it very, very nonchalantly, but I have to say, like, when we're doing better than a lot of these other cities that have had other resources at their disposal, and we're still, when it comes to 1,000 people per capita, producing more affordable housing and options, there's a lot of credit to go to that. So, Mayor, I just wanted to say thank you, and also to bring up to the staff on, I brought this up before. I did get concerns that folks are building ADUs and then looking at Airbnb being the entire house. In one situation, there's a single-family home that they're building 2 ADUs in the back, which is great, but when they plan to Airbnb the entire home, that's a problem. So that's contrary to what we're actually trying to do. I mean, we created, I think, a balanced process on the Airbnb, but we should revisit that, and I want to make sure that doesn't become to, you know, we don't create this perverse tool there. So with that, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to all the staff involved in meeting our RENA process, so our RENA goals.
It is so interesting to break down these numbers and some pleasant surprises. And it's not me, but it is the council in the city that I think it has been very deliberate over the last 5 to 6 years with the agency and within the city to aggressively prioritize affordable housing. I mean, the monies we've put into our housing trust fund to subsidize more projects. I mean, it's good, and I think it's just important to not pat ourselves on the back, but highlight. I mean, the RENA process is, the next RENA schedule is 2021 to 2029. And the state tells us, for example, that we have to build 6,306 units of low-income housing. It's a 9-year period, and over the first 2 years, we're at like 1,600. I don't know. Let's exceed the goal. For moderate, the same thing. We're well on pace to meet our moderate goals. Where we're not meeting the pace is above moderate and very low and extremely low. So let's use this as a policy signal here to make sure that we get on pace in both those categories without letting up on low income. I mean, I know we're going to have a major discussion about the housing element, additional policy about the general plan and about how housing fits in all of that in the coming months. I would also just urge us always to keep our eye on the ball when it comes to any opportunity we have after we have done right by our workers, which we know is the major priority, the collective bargaining this year. And now we have Measure L, we've got a dedicated youth fund. The next discretionary dollar, I would say, over time, we always ought to at least be thinking about about funding the housing trust fund first, because that's where that remains our priority. Has to. Thank you. Anything else, members? That's excellent. Do you? I don't have the entire PowerPoint in my packet here. I'd love to see the comparisons from cities that are not within our local area here, please.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Right.
be sure to post that.
Might use that in a speech sometime, I don't know. Thank you. All right. Very good. Item 3, the last item of the day, the Rental Assistance Demonstration RAD Program Update. Welcome back.
Long time no see.
Long time no see.
All right. Good afternoon again. Again, I'm Mark Hamilton, the Director of the Rental Assistance Demonstration Program here at SHRA. And today I'm going to be providing you guys with a brief update of the status of our RAD projects that we've been working on. So before we get into our specific RAD projects, just some key background and features about the RAD program. It acts as a bridge between public housing and project-based Section 8 vouchers, and it acts as a mechanism for us to project-base current public housing properties. Also gives us the opportunity to leverage debt and solicit for private investment to come and address millions of dollars of deferred maintenance at our public housing communities. So the slide here, you can see the first 5 years of RAD. We've been extremely busy at the Housing Authority on our RAD projects, with RAD pilot launching back in 2019 through 2021. We have successfully completed construction on that project. All those units are fully occupied. It's actually moved through permanent conversion, so now that there is permanent financing tied to those properties as well. And then fairly recently, in January, we finished construction for the Central City 1 project, which consists of 2 properties, 626 I Street and 1820 Capitol. And the residents are thrilled. We were able to address some long outstanding capital needs, especially at the 1820 Capitol location. RVP Group, the next on the slide there, was formerly titled Central City 2. It's the project that consists of 600 I Street, 917 38th Street, and 2516 H Street. And we are currently in the middle of closing escrow on that project, hopefully by mid-May. And then coming up in the near future here, we'll be working on Sun River 1 and Sun River 2, which are placeholder names for that project, which are county multifamily projects located throughout chiefly like Citrus Heights, Rancho, and those areas. So I have up on the screen here future projects that we're looking to do as part of the RAD portfolio. As mentioned, we'll be looking to do Sun River next. Hopefully, we'll have this. We're currently engaged in pre-development now, and we'll be looking at a close sometime in 2024. We'll be looking to go to Meadow Commons next. Central City 3, in which we still have the Comstock 1725 K Street building to address. We'll really start looking to dig deep into Marina Vista. It's a 30-acre property, as you are all more than likely aware of, and a very substantial project that we're going to be looking into. Then we'll be moving to the Mill, to Rio Garden, Oak Park, Point Lagoon, and last but certainly not least, Alder Grove. On the chart here, I've also put the respective districts in which these properties reside. Just wanted to show some quick photos of the 1820 Capitol. For those that aren't familiar with this property, it's 80-plus senior one-bedroom units. We spent quite a bit of time, about a year of construction. We're able to address a lot of interior improvements, exterior improvements, and our residents are extremely thrilled about their new homes. And then our project that we're currently working on is RVP Group. As stated before, it consists of 600 I Street, Pine Knoll, and Big Trees. And some of those improvements I've stated here in the slides, but we're looking at complete elevator rehabs. Those of you that do get emails and phone calls from our residents who reside at 600 I Street, the elevators are always a primary concern, and I'm happy to say that we're going to be able to finally address those needs there. New controlled access, also a chief concern of our residents due to the proximity of the jail close to our property there. we'll be looking to enhance security within that building. So new finishes, building Wi-Fi, which would be brand new to that building. So their neighbors for years at 626 I Street have had Wi-Fi there, so we're finally going to be able to bring that over to 600 I Street. And then, of course, ADA upgrades to units and common areas. And then for our 2 public housing properties that are involved in the RAD transaction, we'll be looking at doing ADA upgrades, community room improvements, interior and exterior unit finishes, including cabinets, countertops, new bathrooms, new kitchens, all the works. And then, of course, we'll be looking to address existing building systems and doing some improvement and replacement there. And I've got a few pictures here. So here's the tentative, or actually the approved design for 600 I Street. So if you all have driven past it recently, it's still kind of stuck in the 80s with its off pink color. So we'll be looking to really upgrade and modernize the exterior design here at 600 I. And then here's 25618 H Street, or Big Trees. If you go down H Street and you see 2 giant redwood trees, that's more than likely our property. And you can see that we are looking to upgrade to a more modern colored palette there at that property. And then finally, 917 38th Street, Pine Knoll. Again, we're kind of staying consistent with the themes of the exterior designs here. And then, as previously mentioned, coming in 2025, pending successful applications to HUD and CTAC, we'll be looking to address the Sun River communities, and I have the street addresses of those properties listed there. Altogether, this is about 200 units that we'll be looking to address through RAD. And that concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, I do see some colleagues up on the speak. Should we take public testimony first? Anybody?
So, Mayor, I have no hands raised to make public comment on this item.
Here we go. Councilmember Kaplan, Councilmember Valenzuela, and then Councilmember Maple.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Nice to meet you. We haven't had that opportunity yet. And a couple of things. I've said this at City Council, and I know this is the first time I've been talking about this with having SHRA here. But my hope is that our staff reports can be a little bit more detailed to stand on their own. I did notice that this report is basically the same as what was submitted last year, except for a paragraph taken out. But my question and concern is the statistics from last year are the same this year, where we talked about converting 360 units 16 units to RAD and converting an additional 59. So nothing has changed in the last year. Can you just let me know why are we not looking at additional units? Because I think, what was it, 2,700 we have between the city and the county?
Right, and it has to do with the timeline of the RAD updates that we provide to the city and the county. So when we're in the middle of a development phase, there may be some projects or some buildings that we are in the process of converting, and those numbers haven't added to that additional count yet.
Okay. And then I got to tell you, our 2018 report, as it was presented to City Council, was really detailed. So I think with a fair amount of new council members, having that background is really helpful. I found that helpful to me in understanding what you're doing. Has there been any change when it was presented to council in 2018? You talked about priority and projects. Has there been any change in the prioritization of what projects you look at?
Yeah, there have been quite a few changes in the original timeline and the projects that were being worked on. As we've been kind of going through the projects, we've been identifying which projects, would be financially feasible, and that's kind of changed as we've gone through this process from 2018. HUD has also released additional regulations and guidelines, as well as additional tools that allow for different types of RAD conversions to happen. For example, for the Edgewater and Capitol Terrace project, they recently introduced, I think just last year, the ability to increase the amount of RAD blend that you do. So RAD and traditional project-based vouchers, which makes a project more financially viable to be able to do, because one of the biggest barriers in the past with RAD was that the revenues were not sustainable, right? They are lower than, much lower, up to 50 to 65% lower than traditional project-based voucher rents. So with all those kind of pieces like mixed in there, we're taking a look at our development slate and seeing like where does the underwriting make sense? Where is it where we're not going to have to necessarily reach out for additional like gap financing? Is this project going to be sustainable for the next 20 plus years? So there has been a little bit of shuffling as we've been going through. And then just looking at and experiencing like the pre-development costs. When the 2018 plan was put together, the Housing Authority hadn't engaged in a lot of public housing conversion. Hasn't gone through like boots on the ground, going through development and whatnot. So there's been a lot of lessons learned too along the way. So that plus kind of shaping and developing a pre-development war chest to be able to fund these projects have really kind of shifted the priority of the different communities that we've been looking at.
And here's the thing, that information is so valuable. I think our community and our public would like to know that. Like, you have that information, SHRA has that information. I think understanding when policies change of how we look at things, it's really helpful. If that's blended into the reports, which I thank you because you've got all the knowledge in your brain and it helps make sense to me. But when I read it on my own, nothing helped me get to where all the knowledge in your head can accurately explain it to all of us. And I noticed in 2018, as I would love to see an updated number. We looked at like the deferred maintenance that we needed with our projects was slated, I think, was it 34 million was going to be the cost in 2023. Now it's updated to 58 million. We all know with the shortage construction, what is it from when it was originally estimated to where we are, and what those factors end up being as to why such a huge increase? Because again, it's just transparency and letting our public know that while we thought we only needed this much for 2023, we actually almost need double. And then in the difficulty in planning that out. But I really appreciate, the information that you've explained to us and the work that you guys are doing.
Sure, no problem. And criticism is duly noted, and we'll look to apply that on future reports.
Okay, we've got Councilmember Valenzuela.
Thank you, and thank you for including Marina Vista and Alder Grove on this list. I would love to talk more about this project sometime soon with the team. I mean, there have been multiple planning efforts on this property, a lot of which happened before I came into office, but as you note, it's a multi-acre significant property really close to downtown, and there's a lot I see in like the West Broadway specific plan and other documents that I'm not sure this is, and I know a lot of residents had questions and are interested in continuing to engage in that discussion. So just want to flag is that 2026 will be here like tomorrow, I think, at the pace that time is moving right now. So I just want to make sure that we leave enough space to revisit how our office can be helpful in that conversation, because that's a huge opportunity process. I mean, for folks on the other council who doesn't know, I mean, this is a huge, like you said, 30 acres total, right? Just south of Broadway, right next to downtown, historically, community of color, really, really important part for our city. So just want to make sure we dedicate more time and energy to thinking that through. Like right now, for instance, I know it says mixed income. I'm not sure if that's the way I think we should go. And so I think those are the types of conversations I would love to have as this project continues moving forward on the timeline. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Maple.
Just to.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's good. Just to follow up, in terms of Marina Vista and as well as Alder Grove, one of the things that we wanted to do was to tackle one of the big three, and that's with Mirasol Village. So we started with Mirasol Village, and really a lot of different type of financing mechanisms came to bear so that we could use a lot of the lessons that we learned with Mirasol as we move on to Marina Vista. Marina Vista. And so there'll be lots of conversation with you, the residents, and the community before we ever start to move forward with any type of development. And it could be a mixture of different types of products like RAD, and we may look at C&I, but C&I, actually, Choice Neighborhoods Initiative, wasn't even available when we started asset repositioning. So that's why we have to stay abreast of what HUD is offering in terms of tools and products that we can bring to our community.
Thank you for your presentation, and I'm new here, so I appreciate you, some of the background, appreciate some of the comments that Councilmember Kaplan brought up as well, and just to take it a few steps back, I wanted to talk a little bit about the differences between public housing and the RAD program. So currently, under public housing, SHRA owns the property and manages the property. How is that different under the RAD program?
So RAD is just a mechanism. So what we've been doing on the properties is, as we've been converting, they've been sold to tax credit partnerships in which the Housing Authority's nonprofit, SHARP, sits as the general partner, and then there's an investment partner, usually like a private entity. So the management would continue to be the same, where the Housing Authority would continue to provide the property management. The Housing Authority, through its nonprofit, would still be the general partner, but there would be another layer of investment in the properties in which those investors would have certain standards that they would also like to have met by these different properties.
Wonderful, thank you. And that doesn't change the, thank you for the background, that doesn't change what the actual consumer, the person who's living in the property, is experiencing. Are they still paying, the same percentage of their income, or?
Yes, yeah. So by RAD, like they're actually grandfathered in under their current income. And then going forward, their rent is still calculated the same way, where it's based off of 30% of their adjusted monthly income.
Okay, for the people that are originally in there, and then for new people that come in, is it different?
No,
Okay.
they're treated exactly the same. So anybody new that's moving in, their income would be calculated at that 30% of adjusted monthly income.
Great, thank you so much, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to add one other benefit in terms of a property transitioning to RAD. Under public housing, they live there in that housing. Under RAD, after a year, they actually have access to a voucher where they could choose to move, which is very, very different than public housing. So it does open up more opportunities for our residents.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anybody else want to weigh in on the new way, right? And I remember discussing this at the beginning of my council tenure, and it's a way to preserve and improve the public housing stock. Important. Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That concludes the Housing Authority agenda. I know that Councilmember Jennings had an adjourn in memory, and actually I do as well, but if you don't mind sharing, adjourn in memory. Why don't I go then? And then I'll leave yours for last. We'll have other council ideas and questions. Not a Housing Authority adjournment, but since we're gathered, I just want to do it. And that is, I'd like to adjourn in memory of Jane Hagedorn. Remember Jane Hagedorn, who led the American Lung Association, the Sacramento chapter, for a long time, and was also a very competitive candidate for the County Board of Supervisors back in 1992, ran against Muriel Johnson, who was a great public servant herself. Jane Hagedorn passed away recently, and even though I know I had not seen her in a number of years, she is someone who I will always treasure and remember as a great leader in this community. You remember, Michelle? I mean, somebody who's smart as can be, progressive before that word was, sort of used in the lexicon, cared about people and issues. I mean, her focus was the environment, but it wasn't exclusive to the environment. And somebody who just really put out a lot of effort and joy in helping the public. And I just recently found out that Jane passed away. And I wanted to just say that you won't be forgotten. I certainly remember you from my early and formative years as an elected official in this town, and you were a true mentor, and to your family. And we're very sorry. Rest in peace. Thank you. Rick?
The gentleman who I'd like to adjourn in memory as well is lovingly known by his family and friends as Jack. His real name is John Dubray, and he passed away on March 31 of 23. I didn't know Jack, but I came to know him through reading of his life. He proudly served the U.S. Navy on the USS Bonhomme Richard and worked radar communications. After retiring from the Navy, Jack served as a parole officer for our Sacramento Police Department for 25 years, from 1976 to 2001. Jack loved his job as a police officer and always gave his best to the community. He also taught at the police academy, and interestingly enough, he proudly told everyone who will listen, that he trained our current Chief of Police, Kathy Lester. John Dubray loves sports, and this is where my connection to him came, especially the Oakland A's, Los Angeles Dodgers. He loved attending football games at Elk Grove High School. He also attended countless soccer games, track meets, cheer events, theater, piano recitals, award ceremonies, and graduation as the proudest papa of his children, his grandchildren, and his great-grandchildren. He is survived by his wife, the love of his life, Maria, to whom he was married for 55 years. He leaves behind his wife, his children, Lisa and Stephanie, as well as his grandchildren and his great-grandchildren and his sister. And he leaves a proud legacy behind that will carry on his life. And so I'd like to adjourn also in memory of Jack Dubray.
Thank you, Councilmember Jennings. If there's nothing else to come before the Housing Authority, we will adjourn in the memory of Jack Dubray and Jane Hagedorn. Thank you very much. We're adjourned.